Hello, and good morning, and welcome to Conversations with Sara. Today's episode 2, and I'm titled 7 Things to Avoid in Leadership. Originally, I was asked to talk about the top 10 mistakes that leaders make, but this sounds a little less harsh, and 7 is much easier to remember than 10. So we'll go with that. Certainly, as I asked before, if you have experiences, things that you would like to share with the group, please make a comment here below the video or in our Facebook group. Love to share ideas and experiences because we all come from a little bit of a different background. We'll start. The 7 things to avoid, the first 4 revolve around communication, which makes sense because communication is most of leadership, being an effective communicator. Number 1, avoid canceling staff meetings. That's a very easy thing to fall into, to say we're too busy, staff's too busy, there's not a good time, we just can't do it. And it deprives the staff from spending some time with you, from hearing the message all delivered at the same time. And usually when you're your busiest is when they need you the most. And I think we saw that hurt us when COVID first reared its ugly head and all of staff meetings, all meetings in general, were put on a moratorium. The hard thing was trying to get the communication out there, and there was just a lot of chaos. So even though it's tempting, make the effort, do the time, and have your staff meetings every 4 to 6 weeks. The second is avoid sending formal emails to a small group of people, because they're going to forward and that email is going to spread to everyone anyway. And if you only target one group of people, other people are going to feel betrayed, hurt, angry. So formal announcement emails should go out to everyone. If you want to give a heads up to a certain group of people, then do it verbally. Pull them together, say, hey, heads up, this email's coming out, I want you guys to be aware. But I've seen that be detrimental and hurtful, even with the best of intentions. Sending a formal announcement to a small group doesn't seem to be a very good idea. Also, waiting, and this is number 3, waiting until the last minute to announce any kind of a global initiative. When the hospital is going to roll something out or bring consultants in, sometimes managers will avoid talking about it because they want all the questions answered. They want hard deadlines, all the I's dotted, T's crossed. And what this leads to is the staff beginning to think that the news that's coming, because they know news is coming, is going to be horrible or so dire. If they hear snippets and bits and pieces from other people in other departments, then they'll put 2 and 2 together and get 7. They're going to have this completely different story of what's coming, and it's going to lead to fear and mistrust, because why are you not telling them? Do yourself a favor, start out early and often, even if it's just to say, hey, we've hired some consultants, they're coming, and we don't have a date yet, but these are the things that we're going to look at and what we're going to do. And as soon as I know more information, I'll share it with you, because that's really all that the staff want to hear. Which leads me to number 4. Avoid using they. When you are talking to your staff at a meeting, in huddles, you don't want to say they. They are making us do this. This is a new initiative from the executive team. You want to say we. This is our new initiative. This is what we are going to be doing. Be all inclusive, because you are part of leadership. You're speaking for the entire hospital, the entire healthcare system. So use the word we to avoid that divisiveness. Also avoid using victim speech, oversharing things with the staff. You're the buffer. You're the buffer between what might be a harsh message that has come down, to what you're delivering to the staff. So although it's tempting to say, oh my goodness, I was really fighting for you guys, but I got my hand smacked, or you won't believe what they said to me, or, a common one is nurse satisfaction surveys, and just looking at your staff and saying, oh my goodness, I know you all were talking about them, the higher ups, but boy, they just dumped it all on me, and they're blaming me for everything that you said. That's not productive, and it leads to this very odd feeling, between the staff and you, and staff and the executive team. We're all a team together, and we're all here to take care of the patients and to do the right things. So avoid victim speak, and avoid saying they, and making that division line. Number 5 is critical conversations. Those are very easy to avoid. No one likes them, and later I will do a video on having a critical conversation, and some of the steps and some tips that I've learned through the ways that make it easier to have a conversation that needs to take place. But if you avoid it, it just becomes so much worse. Also, silence is permission. That means if someone is doing something wrong, say they're wearing an inappropriate mask, and you don't pull them aside and give them the correct mask to wear and say, hey, I need you to change this out, you're giving permission for that to happen. So other staff see that and they say, hey, well, Joe could get away with it, I'm going to get away with it too. Also, if you're riding up in the elevator with someone who is obviously 20-30 minutes late, don't just stand there in the elevator and say hello and ask them how their day is. You're going to say, what's going on? Why didn't you show up on time? I mean, you got to let staff know that you're paying attention. This is holding them accountable, and you can't wait. You can't wait to do it. It loses effectiveness, and it just makes your life harder in the long run. We'll talk more about critical conversations in a different episode. Number 6, avoid making promises. We want to be the hero. We want to be the good guy. We want to be the one that staff feels like they can come to for any reason, for anything. And you want to say, I'll make it better. I promise. I'm going to fix this. I promise I'm going to fix this. Well, you might not be able to fix it, or you might not be able to fix it as quickly as you want to, or your staff member wants you to. So don't make promises, because that the perception that you're breaking promises or you can't be trusted is very hard to overcome. So unless you're standing there right that moment and say, here, I promise, this is it, I signed it, say, I'm going to do my best. Let me look into that. Let me see if I can take care of it. I will reach out to the right people, and we'll do our best to make this happen. But don't make promises. Number 7, and the final one for the morning, is try to avoid this. This one's hard, but this one's more personal. Try to avoid taking things personally. Realize that you are the face of leadership. You represent everyone, as I said before, administration, the corporate culture. You are to the staff the voice and the face of leadership. So that has its own feelings. Some people are going to be a little resentful just because of that. Other people are going to have trouble with you because you're holding them accountable. You're actually expecting them to follow policy. You're expecting them to come to work on time, and you're trying to find out why they're not. You're helping them come up with a plan to improve their practice. And, sometimes you're having those conversations where you're asking people to look for something else. This is obviously not a fit, and you need to move on. So all of these things can lead to some people not being happy with you or thinking that you're unfair when really you're probably the most fair person that they've come across in a while. It's not you. It's not you personally. It's not who you are. It's just who and what you represent. So keep that in mind. You are not being a manager. It shouldn't be a popularity contest. It shouldn't be that you want everyone to love you, because if everybody loves you, and then you're not really doing your job. You're just being everyone's friend and the nice guy. And being a manager means sometimes you can't be the nice guy. You've got to be the tough guy. So don't take those things as a personal attack against you. Um, you know who you are. The people who love you and care about you know who you are. And learn how to tap back into that if you're starting to feel dismayed and discouraged. These are my tips for today of the 7 things to avoid in leadership, and I hope you found some value in our conversation, and I look forward to talking to you again very soon. Bye.